And what ended up happening about 1:30 in the morning, my wife woke me up and she said, listen. And there was a bunch of coyotes, which was pretty nice. That's one of the reasons why we bought the properties for the wildlife. But shortly after she fell asleep, about a half hour later, I was still awake, and I heard this pretty loud. It sounded like an owl call, but it wasn't really an owl. Come to find out that what I was hearing is what they call a whoop, and that happened literally the first night we owned the property. So that was the first incident, and throughout the 2021 year, we're cleaning up the property. There was a lot of debris and stuff. It's an off-grid place, and I basically went to the lumber yard, and it was about 11 o'clock in the morning. I came back. My wife had a little issue where she said something happened when
What's
you
up,
were
Sparky?
gone. And she was cleaning up a bunch of debris, burning it in the fire pit, and she said that there was a bunch of crows, ravens, that were going crazy, dive bombing something that was up in the upper areas, like a wood line. And she said she just kept watching, and all of a sudden she can hear what she said was loud footfall, very heavy footsteps, which at that point she started panicking because she didn't know what it was, and she ran away from the noise and stuff like that. But as she was standing on the other side of the camp,
What's up, Andy?
she also said that she had a incident where her eardrums kind of popped, and she had this weird sensation. So that was another incident. So as time went on, we kept hearing what we found out were the whoops, these calls, throughout the time. And so one evening, we were doing a bunch of cleanup. I had cut a bunch of trees down. It's just a lot of trees I had felled. And it was evening, not quite dark yet. And I shut off the chainsaw, and I could hear, again, these whoops. They were coming down, and there's a mountain up behind our house. And it sounded like we were getting closer. And that was on the Friday night, and we decided to have a campfire, sit around. It was dark. And then all of a sudden, up from this ridge area, which sits about 30 feet above our house, I hear something say, "Hey, you." And we don't have neighbors right there, so it was kind of an odd thing. It was a very deep voice. And then there was some loud mumbling sound that came after that, which again, had no idea what was going on. And then that Sunday, my wife and I came back. It was about 1:30 in the afternoon, and it was about 10 minutes being at the property. And up behind our camp area, there's an area that's a hemlock grove. And in that hemlock grove, it's really thick, and there's probably just a small area which leads up to, we found out was a back game trail. So we're sitting there, and she's talking on the phone, and all of a sudden we heard loud, breaking and footsteps and something big walking away, about 80 feet away. I look up, and I can see this back side of this big animal that had the color of kind of like a moose, but a little bit lighter with a reddish hue to it. And all I could see is whatever this thing was walking off the backside of it. And at some point, my wife was, on her phone talking to our daughter, and she said, "You won't believe what I think this is." And when she got off the phone, well, before she said, "I think it's a Bigfoot." She gets off the phone with our daughter, and I asked her, I said, "Why would you say that?" She says, "You didn't see what I saw." I said, "What was it?" "I saw the arm with a hand move a branch and leave." And I took a measurement, and that was about 9 feet off the ground where she saw the arm. So that was the daytime sighting that we had. And about, 6 months later, I had my nighttime sighting at about 30 feet away. I was putting something away. I have a portable garage. About 30 feet away is our parking area, which is on the other side of the brook. And as I looked up with my headlamp, I catch it running across the parking area and into the wood line. And at the time, I have a green trailer, which is 8 feet tall, and this thing was just about a foot shorter than that, leaned over. And it was like a flash. It was the fastest thing I've ever seen, but I know what I saw. And that was the second sighting. And throughout this whole time, there's stuff that was going on between strange owl calls, and actually activity I'm getting now is I'm getting rock pebbles thrown, getting tracks. It seems like activity is kind of getting a little bit closer. And so
hit the like button.
Time between I got a hair sample. There's another time where I actually the green trailer I was telling you about is an enclosed trailer. For whatever reason, there's tons of footprints, fingerprints, handprints all over on the one side. That is not because of kids or anything like that. So we've got a lot of that. I got a actual hair sample that I picked up one time. I found just a lot of activity, and actually it's lately it's been ramping up a little bit more and more with the activity stuff. So, am I missing anything, Richie?
Yeah. How far off the road are you? Like, how far from population? Is it a quiet area?
Oh yeah. Well, the place that we bought is in between two mountains with a brook that runs through the middle and in the back. It's off a dirt trail. A dirt road coming in from a small little roadway, and there's only about 5 neighbors total. That's including me, and all the property around there is pretty well, closed in with trees and brooks. I have the
my friend Martin
property of 5 acres. Everybody else has about 13 to 100 acres up there.
I do.
So,
do you get any tree knocks or anything like that?
I only caught that one tree knock. When my wife went out early one morning about 4:30, we had to get back to town. When she went outside, she heard a knock. Personally, the only knock I really got was that recording. I started doing recordings on the property, which I got that knock. And of course, I have other vocalizations that I picked up, stuff that sounds like Jurassic Park type calls to strange, barred owl, chimpanzee noises.
I get grunts. You get any kind of grunts?
Yeah. Last week, going into an area that I've been gifting, I walked in and first, I didn't know what it was at first. I got grunted at twice, and I stopped and kind of was wondering what it was. And then shortly after that, I had that long grunt, and that's when I kind of backed out of there, just to kind of give it space, type of thing.
I've been there. I've been bluff charged myself. A little bluff charge. Now, when your wife said that she had the sighting, right?
Yep.
You mentioned something about she saw an actual like.
Saw the forearm, and the hand itself go up and actually move the branch about 9 feet.
Wow! And how far away were you guys?
80 feet.
Jeez.
And that was broad day, 1:30 Sunday afternoon, like a day like this, beautiful sunny day.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I think the reason why is that I believe there's 2 that are on the property pretty consistently. The bigger one, which is got a print around 18 inches, and the other one I call Junior, which is what I consider the juvenile, and he's got about a 9 to 10 inch print, and he's the one that's right around 7 foot right now that I saw. But he's the one that's most consistent. I think he's the one that does the pebble throwing and stuff like that, just because of the fact that it's attention grabbing for sure. And it seems like the more times that I don't pay attention is when he wants the attention.
Yeah. So, what kind of things are you doing for research as far as trying to catch stuff?
Right. So research-wise, I have a digital recorder that's sound activated. I've been starting putting out any night that I'm there because you told me to. I appreciate it.
Listen to that guy. He's crazy.
Right. And, to help get some vocalizations and stuff. And I have a gifting site, which I started with the peanut butter, and twice it's been taken. And the tops are actually twisted on, and they twist the top off, and they'll either lick it out or whatever else. I haven't found the other jar yet.
That's still missing?
That's still missing. And now I know they don't like the Oreos. I put out 2 things, which I couldn't believe. I thought everything likes Oreos. But I put out,
I like them.
And that was the 3 times that I went out there, and the same package that was on the same gifting tree with 2 of them on there, they would drop it off and leave it on the ground, and it's almost like they didn't like it. And then the last time I was in there, they actually ripped it open. You can see it's not chewed. They took 2 cookies and threw the rest of it.
Really?
That was just today.
Wow.
which I'll show you later.
How long has this been going on? How long have you owned it?
The property I've owned since 2021 in May, so over 4 years.
Well, 4 years now.
4 years now, and like I said, my wife and I are spending more time there. There was a time in the beginning we spent a lot of time where we had a lot of activity, but then life caught up, grandkids and stuff like that, and we weren't there as often. And then we started, staying more. And I told you, I honestly thought in the wintertime, because the leaves being off the trees, that the activity stopped and they would move out of the area. But that one time that you and I were on the phone and we were talking, and I could hear something snap in the top of the ridge where they travel on, and that's where I got those footprint, the trackway that I videotaped the following day. So they were definitely coming through in the wintertime. I got the other big track, that was about a 16 track by 8 wide, and have activity all the way up today. I mean, I found those, not only the cookies, but the prints down near my brook behind my place.
The ones you sent to me this morning.
50 feet away, and he's down in like a little bit of a gully, and it's crazy. It's to me, it seems like it's ramping up a little bit.
Yeah, and in my research area, you came down and you saw something as well, right?
Yeah, that I did not anticipate. Forget about that. The scream.
Yes.
Like I said, I've never had a vocalization like that.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And I wish we had the stuff going, but then later on that evening, going out and just seeing that one cross.
Yep.
About 150 feet, 150 yards, and I swore that it was the back end of the group. I mean, you could see the figure walking to the tree line across, and you're saying everybody else was back down over the river, and I'm like, that's not what I saw.
Well, I went left. You wanted to go straight.
Yeah, I wanted to, because I thought that's where the group was.
And like, don't do that, dude. Yeah. You would have been on your own.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, between just recording, take a little bit better data down. I'm learning from the guys, Kelly and Mike, about doing some pouring for casting for footprints.
Yep.
And like I said, I got a bunch of pictures of footprints, but it'd be pretty cool to have physical, prints, castings.
Yep. 3D as well.
Yeah, the 3D,
That'll help.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's between that and, like I said, the handprints and just the overall, it's tree breaks. I mean, I don't know how many tree breaks I found. One was at 9 feet, another one's at 12 feet. I had a tree break right on where the parking area is. That we went away. 2 days later, came back, and that's when the break was.
Is that on the edge of the parking, or is it?
Right at the edge of the parking, broken towards the camp.
I noticed the same stuff.
Yeah.
With the on the edges, kind of marking it, saying "Don't go there," kind of.
And I found, like I said, the X, the double X, leading out from the trails and stuff. A lot of markings that way. Oh, geez. Like I said, I'm just trying. I know I said you a bunch of stuff. It's kind of hard, especially being up here and kind of on the spotlight.
You're doing a great job. So how's your wife feel about the whole thing?
She is okay what I'm doing as long as I don't keep it in the backyard.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the same with most things, like my friends and stuff.
Right. No, she's, she goes with it. She won't come out, even though what she saw, she still doesn't want to acknowledge 100% because then,
It's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, maybe it's because she doesn't want to feel afraid. It's never, I know there's two of them pretty much on a regular basis. They've never, ever showed any type of aggression whatsoever. If anything, it's more curiosity and playfulness, especially with the juvenile.
Yeah.
With just, doing the finger painting on the trailer, the fingerprints all over it.
Yeah.
It's just something, a texture thing.
Yep.
But, like I said, I have tons of that on there. And just, like I said, the last, what was it, Wednesday night, I did that recording where they threw the rock, woke me up, and I could see the spotlights going off when they took off. So it's like, it's definitely getting ramped up. I think it's because we're spending a lot more time there.
Right.
Than we have, since the beginning.
Right.
We're doing a lot of, like improvements, and I think change, they're interested in it. In my opinion. I don't, like I said, I don't know what they think, but I just see, certain patterns and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. No, I think it's good. So you've basically become a researcher, whether you like it or not.
I had no choice. I had no physical choice.
Welcome to my world.
Yes.
Well, that's awesome, man. I want to. Everybody here says thank you for sharing, D Hoot and all them. Andrew remembers that night because he was standing next to you, like where you're going, and kind of got you to take a left instead of disappearing into the woods on us, following whatever you thought was Wojo.
Yeah. No, well, it was a skinnier Wojo.
He didn't hear that. We're good. Well, awesome. Thank you for sharing. And that was Martin's first time speaking. So you take the phone, I'll take the mic. Thank you, brother. Good job, man. Give him a round of applause, everybody, for Martin sharing his story. Hey, listen, it's very hard to share the stories. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't, comprehend it 100%, unless it happens to you. You know what I mean? And I can respect that. It's the same with the paranormal world, ghosts or whatever you might believe in, or what you might experience. It's this type of thing that you got to be there. You have to have it happen to you. So I never push anybody to believe what I'm saying. I always encourage them to put their boots on and come out in the woods with me. And I'm never that person that goes, see what I see? No, I don't do that. I just go out and get the information from you, which helps my research and my data. If you see things that I've already seen without me saying, they're way more valuable than if I pointed them out to you and tried to convince you. So, Martin, thank you so much. You did a great job your first time speaking. And I love your story, and I love the fact that you're now my friend through Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And I'm able to guide you a little bit, and I learn things from you, and you learn things from me, and that's what it's all about,
Yeah.
There's no experts in the field of Bigfoot. It's a non-scientific field. There's no experts. We're just researchers. Some have more time than others, and that's all it is. You know what I mean? So if you have a story that you want to share, you can go over to New Hampshire Bigfoot Society or down to Chaos Stand-Up Productions as well. They're local people, and they will take your incident report, and you can share it with them in confidence and confidentiality and with respect. Nobody judges anybody here. Nobody ridicules anybody here. We treat each other with respect, and whatever your methods you use in the woods to research, we respect that. We don't ridicule, because that's not going to get us anywhere, right? If you ridicule everybody, nobody's going to come to you no more and talk to you. They're not going to tell you any of the stories. So we're not going to learn anything that way. You know what I mean? Martin, what time you got on that phone? What's it say?
It says 1:55.
1:55. So at 2 o'clock, we have some more music coming in. Then we'll have a music break. And then we'll have Gene Tewksbury come up and speak. Right, Gene? Are you feeling up to it, though? You good? All right. Sydney, you speaking? Sydney, you speaking? Are you going to do the whoop calls for everybody? You going to lose in cornhole again later? Awesome. So we will have Gene Tewksbury speaking after the next music break, sharing her story. She's a researcher from Maine. And not only about Bigfoot, she has a lot of history and experience with big cats that are supposed to no longer be here anymore. But she has proof that perhaps they are still here. So you want to hear from Gene Tewksbury around 2:30. So tell your friends, stop the next train, pull everybody off, and tell them this is where the party's at. All right, so we will see you around 2:30, and the music should be starting momentarily. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Martin. All right. There's a guest speaker. All right, let's see. Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. 2:30, we'll have Gene Tewksbury up. She'll be speaking. We'll bring it to you live on YouTube. And hopefully all those people that are on that train over there will actually stop and jump in, I don't think his socks match. No, my socks don't match. My socks never match. Pay attention. What is wrong? I'm a child. You should know this by now. I miss you guys.
Hand for Richie and Martin.
Thank you. We'll be back out in the woods in our research area come next week. It's been way too long, and I need some therapy with the earth. So everybody stay safe. We'll be back around 2:30-ish with Gene Tewksbury. Join us.